This is Digital Stereo Guitar and my name is Emilio, and today we're going to look at what order your pedals should be in on your pedal board. We've got a range of different sorts of pedals: distortion overdrive pedals, your modular pedals, your volume pedals, your delays, all those sort of things. So here we got my particular pedal board. Now the order of these pedals is really dependent on you. So before we really even want to get into this, we just want to be clear. This is my preferred order. This is sort of some tips, some tricks, some ideas that you may want to have around the order of the pedal boards, because it really depends in which order you put the pedals, the output sound that you're going to get. Some pedals work better before sound, some pedals work better after particular pedals. This is my recommendation. It may not work for you, and of course, depending on the pedals that you've got, you want to go ahead and experiment. So if you can really take anything out of this video, it's for you to just go and experiment playing around with your pedals, ordering them in different orders, in different loops around your pedal board to sort of get the sound that you want from the individual pedals and from your board as a whole. So this is a pedal train pedal board, and I've actually soldered in an input straight onto the front of the board. So really I've got my guitar that just comes straight into the top. Out of that, I've then soldered in a actual plug that runs directly into my very first pedal, which is my Sigma Comp. My Sigma Comp is my very first pedal because that is my compressor. That is where I want my sound to come in first, so that my guitar itself is affected by the compressor. It has the sustain, it puts my volume up, puts my volume down as it needs to, and is not affected by any of the other pedals. If you can put this later on in the chain, you may find that your delay sounds, your follow-up delay sounds, your distortion sounds, any other modulars, chorus effects may be affected by the compressor. So putting the compressor first sort of make sure that it's getting a clean, fresh sound straight from the guitar. Out of my compressor, I'm then running into my distortion. So these are 3 overdrive pedals that are increasing in brightness. I start with the lowest overdrive, so the one that has the least grunt first, and then from that running into my next overdrive, which is slightly more dirty, and then into my largest overdrive, which is the dirtiest of them all. It's going to give you the most overdrive and the most distortion. That is my preference. I generally will like to layer these 3 together. So I'm going to have one connected to the other. So I may have the sparkle drive on, as well as a tube screamer on, or as well as this rat pedal turned on. But I'm generally going to have them in the lowest order upwards. That is just my preference. You could probably swap those overdrives around, but I would recommend to keep those overdrives all in the same group. So we're looking at the compressor first and then out to my overdrives. From the overdrives, I'm going to go into pedals that affect my volume. I don't want to have my volume affected before my overdrives. I want to affect them after my overdrives, but before any modular and chorus and delay pedals. Again, that is my preference. I don't like to have my volumes at the very start. I like to have them in the middle of my chain. So straight out of those, I go straight into my big Ernie Ball volume pedal right here, right? Out of my Ernie Ball, I've got a tuner out that runs into my poly tune. So my actual tuner itself is not in my chain. I just don't want to have it in my chain, and it's just one less device that my volume, that my signal needs to go through. So out of the Ernie Ball, I just got a tuner out straight into that, and that is completely independent. But either way, so we're looking at compressor, overdrives, into my volume pedal, and then out of that, I'm going into the MXR micro amp, which is essentially just a boost, which I like to have on. Sometimes it gives you a really nice tone from your overall sound. And you can also use it as a boost if you have to have like a solo or a lead part in a particular song. I like to have that in my next chain. From there, I then jump into my delay pedals. So my delay pedals are something that I like to have sort of right in the middle, right after my volumes. So I'm going to jump firstly into my DD7, which is just a Boss DD7 digital delay. That is running analog. You can also run these in stereo, but in this case, this is running analog. Out of that, it's going into a TC electronic delay. So this is two delays, different effects between the two of those. Out of these delays, I'm then running into my Vox, which is essentially a wah pedal all the way down here on the left. So I've just really put it on the left just because I like to have one and one, you know, the two stomps on the either end to sort of even out the board, but you could potentially put that anywhere else. So out of those delays, I run into my wah, which is going to create some sort of an effect. Out of my wah, I'm then running into my Strymon Blue Sky, which is a real heavy modulation type of pedal. So I would say that around the delays, my wah, and any form of modular, tremolos, chorus pedals, flanges, any of those sort of pedals, phases, I would put around that place after your overdrives. I find that it generally works better. Again, try experiment between the two, because you'll find that essentially, if you think about it this way, I've got my guitar coming in, I then put a bit of distortion. The distortion is being applied to a clean sound, potentially via my compressor, of course. To a clean sound, I get my distortions, and then on top of my distortions, I'm layering all of my modular and my delay pedals. If I have these in reverse, then I'm putting in all of my delays and everything first, with then my distortion packing on top of that. So I find that I like to have my delays and my modular pedals affect the sound of my distortion and not the other way around. So that is the reason why I like to have those split up this particular way. Out of that, I then run a stereo out from my Strymon. So it's a mono in and a stereo out. One going directly out to a output on my board, which will run into 1 amp, and the other one runs into a TC electronic looper, which is essentially a recorder that, you know, records a sample, and then I can loop that back, and then out of that runs into another amp, so that I can have a stereo effect. And the nice thing is that the Strymon has some cool stereo sort of sounds, so I can have the stereo running out through that into a couple of different output sources, output destinations. So there you have it. That is my pedal board, and that is my overview. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel for a whole bunch of more videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.